Disillusioned with living out of your car, or disillusioned with life. Um, I think disillusioned is a powerful word. Disillusioned, for me, I kind of define it as you once looked up to something, you were once inspired by something, you were once maybe even helped by something or someone, and basically you are no longer inspired by that person or thing, and you feel either let down or misled, and you're disillusioned. That can come from putting someone on a pedestal, or putting something on a pedestal. I often say you should never do that. But, one is disillusioned with living in your car. Will you feel that way as time goes on? I think initially, if you try to live out of your car or van or even RV, but more or less centered around a car or van, I think there's an initial rush, an initial excitement, because you're getting ready to live this very rare life, a very freeing life. It's a very primitive life, though, too. And I think after that initial rush and challenge, like most things in life, doesn't matter what it is. I'm using living in your car because part of this channel is focused around me living out of my car. I lived out of my car for 2 years, still do. But after that initial rush, like after the initial rush of doing anything new, it becomes tiresome, maybe boring, maybe not exciting, maybe more of a pain in the butt than you thought. And you become disillusioned. Disillusioned with the people who made it look fun, disillusioned and mad at the whole community of people that may do it or may promote it, and it causes resentment. And you feel you were led astray. And that happens many times in life. I mean, it can happen in a church. You can once look up to a pastor or to just a faith. You can't put too much pressure on a pastor or even a politician or whoever. Everyone's human. Everyone is human, including me. And that's what I always tell you. Everyone will let you down. Put no one on a pedestal. You just have to remember that in life. I think disillusioned is a powerful word because I think it births resentment, but it also births a level of you're not owning your decisions. You're going to get tired with everything. Some things are going to work out longer than others. Some things may stick forever as far as, but there's no way of telling. But how do you avoid becoming disillusioned? Well, one is, again, I think you have to make a mental note that everything becomes boring. Living in your car, going to the church, because when you first go to a church, you may say, oh, this is brand new. When you first go to Weight Watchers, it's challenging, it's exciting. When you first go to get sober, how many times people I've seen, I've never struggled with drugs, but I've known a lot of people that have, and I understand it because the struggle with drugs is no different than a struggle with food or gambling or relationships, right? It's the same thing. But I can see people when they get pumped up being sober, that it's a whole, I'm getting high off life, and then that gets boring. I could see people when they break up with a relationship, they say, oh, I never want to be, they're excited to break away from them. They feel like they're being freed from that relationship. But then they get bored, and then they allow that person back in their life because they're bored with life again. They're disillusioned with life. And you're going to get disillusioned with living in your car. You're going to get disillusioned with living in life. And you're going to look for someone to blame. You're going to look for your pastor. You're going to look for a person on YouTube. You're going to look for your ex-lover. But you got to own your decisions. And you got to take accountability for your life. You can point out and say, look, I feel like I was misled on this or this or that. And that's why I try to make a conscious effort of always saying, don't put anyone on a pedestal, own your decisions, etc., etc. But are you going to get disillusioned with living in your car? Possibly. Probably. 99% of society does not live in their car. So are you 1% of society? You're going to find out. Should you be scared or intimidated that if it doesn't work out, your life is over? No. I mean, look, that life is about experiences. Same thing with going to a church or in a relationship or whatever you do. I mean, eventually you're going to get disillusioned, or Does everyone get disillusioned? I don't know. I think some people don't. I tend to. I tend to. But I've learned through my experiences that you don't put anyone on a pedestal. I learned don't put a lover, don't put a girlfriend on a pedestal, don't put your pastor on a pedestal. And I also am a fair evaluator of myself. I tell people not to exalt me. I appreciate encouragement. I think you should acknowledge and encourage people that inspire you. But I think you should preach being yourself and owning your decisions and the grace of God. And so what I want to tell you is, for me, am I still inspired living in my car? Yes. Am I still inspired by having faith and having a YouTube channel? Yes. Does a YouTube channel get boring after a while or a little bit dull? It can. There's plenty of people that start a YouTube channel and don't finish it. Why? Because you get disillusioned. You think you're going to start a YouTube channel and a lot of people are going to like it and it's going to get vastly big. I was never under that mindset. I always knew it was going to be a long, drag-out thing, but you're okay with that in the beginning until time goes on and it goes nowhere, it goes nowhere, it goes nowhere. Even now, life is about progressively building over time, and life is about changing your mind, and life is about seeking inside yourself, and life is about refining it as you go. Avoid being disillusioned by owning your decisions, not listening to the stock guy on TV telling you what to trade. And life is about change, constant change. But I think as you mature, even if you feel like you were, led astray, I think you'll realize that, look, you were still helped in a way. People still help you even if you become but when you are disillusioned, you got to get the hell away from it. You got to change. You got to get out of that situation. You got to change your life again, because I don't think you should stay in a place where you're disillusioned. I left the church when I got disillusioned, and that wasn't out of anger. It wasn't out of anger towards my pastors, because I still kept in touch with them. Over time, I just said we don't vibe. We've outgrown each other, just like my friends. Just like a lot of things I've done in life. Even a house. I was once very inspired by a house. I did the housewarming. I had people over. It was very encouraging. Girls that I thought once were very, at one time in my life, important, and they were. But then you become resentful towards them. You get disillusioned. You realize that everyone is human. And so are you. And so am I. There's no way to tell what's going to work long term or not, but I think as you mature, and this is what I'm sharing with you, there's a maturity in life that takes place. That once you really get to a certain level, you don't really look at anyone to say, this person's going to totally lead me to the promised land. You realize that this person may help, inspire you, spark something inside you, but that they're still human too. And we're all different. Even if they're a great human, even if they're very much on point, they're different than me because they have a different fingerprint. They're a different person. I'm a different person. So how can they lead me to my truth? They can't. They can spark a level of inspiration within you to seek your truth and to live your truth and to refine your truth, but you're going to become disillusioned if they become your truth. And that's the truth. Praise the Lord. And that's it for this video. Good job.